welcome to episode 30 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all the things Nintendo. With me this week is Harrison.
Hey, Kevin. Welcome back.
And Harrison alone. Sean said he's having some problems with his computer. Momo might join us. Who knows? I sent out the invitation, but I know he's kind of busy right now. But we wish him well. He did hurt his hand, so get well soon, Momo. Harrison, you were out last week. How was your vacation?
Oh, good. Me and the girlfriend went to the south of the country, south of Thailand. Went to Krabi, which is just nice beach town. Haven't been there since 2019, so haven't been there since before COVID, and it's pretty nice. It's the rainy season, but for the most part, it didn't rain too much, and just had a nice 4 days at the beach. And as far as gaming goes, I brought my Switch with me because that's still my to go portable console, and I caught my first airplane shiny. I've never done that before.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, it's not a thing.
Oh,
But
okay.
but it's a thing for me. I caught a shiny while 30,000 feet in the air. Uh, that that's all. I've never caught a shiny during a flight before. That's all. Just
Was it
never.
on the flight or is it just, it's been forever since I played Pokemon Go when it first launched, but like it's been a while. So like if you're in a plane, what does that do to the map?
Oh, did I say Pokemon Go?
Oh, I
Oh,
thought that's what you said.
or perhaps I did. I've been thinking about Pokemon Go. I was playing Pokemon Quest on my Switch, and
Okay.
I caught a shiny. And Pokemon Quest, the shiny odds are very high because there's just not that many encounters in that game. Because it's just like you get the Pokemon by like making a cooking pot and then playing the game, and then the cooking pot is done, and then it attracts some Pokemon. But I'm almost done with this game. I almost finished it while I was on my trip. I have one more final boss to go, or final Pokemon to go. It's a game I've been enjoying very much. So yeah. How about you, Kevin? Anything new in the Nintendo world?
I don't know if people are sick of hearing me talk about it, but I finished Pikmin 4 this week. This is like the fifth week in a row I've been talking about that game. But I did everything there is to do in the game except for there are these like challenges that you can platinum, and I'm not going to take the time to try to platinum everything. Whatever I ranked when I finished it is what I'm going to settle on. Um, but yeah, it's a huge game compared to the other Pikmin games I was saying last week. And now that I've finished it, I've seen the full scope of it. It's really like it has a section of the game that is almost the first Pikmin game, like within the game. So like there's this like flashback side quest thing you can do that flashes back to like events right before the game started, and the play style is like in the first Pikmin game where you have a time limit to collect all the spaceship parts. So it's like, oh, so this game has the other game in it, except it uses the maps from Pikmin 4. Um, but oh, and it also has like 6 maps, which I think is unusual for a Pikmin game. It's been a while, but I know 3 had 4 maps, and then I think the first one also had 4. So I think 6 is a lot, but I could be remembering wrong.
I've
But
been
other than that, oh, go ahead.
I've been hearing nothing but good things about that game. Is all I was going to say.
And I loved it. It's a great game. And then once I finished it, I started back to Grandia. I don't know if anyone remembers. Before Pikmin came out, I was playing Grandia 2. I've never finished that game. And I'm at an age now where, like, I was thinking this week, I was like, younger Kevin would have started this file over because I took such a big break. But I'm just like, nah, I'll figure it out. I'll figure out where I was. And I did, like, relatively quickly, and I knew where to go. So I didn't start the. Do you know how many times I've started over RPGs because something distracted me? So you like play the opening like 100 times, but you never see the ending.
Oh, oh yeah, man. I mean, legit. I mean, this has been an internet meme or something that we've talked about, but like, I wish there was a recap feature or something like that, like for older people. Like, oh, we see you haven't played this game in a few months. Here's a reminder of the mechanics and where you are right now. Like,
Luckily, Grandia is very simple. Like, there's literally a thing for the compass where you can set it to just direct you where you're supposed to be going. And, or I think it's literally called forward and backward. And like you can go back the way you came or forward to where. So I just set it to forward. I'm going. I made it to the next town, and now I'm up to date because the people in the next town start whatever their story is.
very cool.
But that's basically what I've been playing. Yeah.
That was originally a Dreamcast game, wasn't it?
Yes, and that's why I love it because I had a lot of love for the Dreamcast, and it it's really given me. I wish there were more Dreamcast games on Switch. I know Skies of Arcadia, which is another RPG, is come. They announced a Switch remake of that, and I just love the feel of those Dreamcast RPGs where they had like the little anime. There's just something different about them because now that I'm thinking about it, like Sega Saturn and even original PlayStation RPGs, they had the little caricature head with the dialogue and the whole look. But I don't know. There's something about our Dreamcast map. There's something about the way they did their 3D environments that's unique, and it definitely makes me feel like I'm playing a Dreamcast game still.
It seems like we're at the correct year for the nostalgia of Dreamcast. I
Yeah.
feel like it's there. I mean, people.
Released 9/9/1999. Never forget. Also the same day as I think the MTV Movie Awards. A lot of things were trying to capitalize on that date, 9/9/99.
Well, yeah. I mean, the world was going to end pretty soon.
Yeah.
Were there any Y2K references in video games, listeners?
Not
Like,
that I know
yeah,
of,
yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
sure
I'm
there
sure there
must be
was.
one.
Yeah, because it was a very like Eiffel 65, like aliens. Like, there had to have been something, like at least something that was not good, at least. Uh,
If
but
not then they've done it recently in like a throwback game. Like that would be something I could see in Ukulele, that series, which is just like full of that type of humor. I could totally see Ukulele. In fact, now that I think of it, I think Ukulele does have a Y2K joke somewhere in it,
it,
but I can't remember exactly what it is.
that that would make sense. Yeah, and, and yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that the Switch doesn't have Shinmu. I think I've brought that up before. Um,
Yeah, put out a trilogy. You
yeah,
know, I'd pay $70 for a Shenmue trilogy. You're putting out all these other trilogies.
right. I mean, I don't know if I would. Yeah, well, I bought one and two on Steam, and they're very easy ports. And I bought them for like, I think $5 or something on sale. So I think you could port it to Switch, like not remake it, just port it directly. Because I've either I haven't been paying attention, but it seems like a lot of people are talking about Shenmue these days. It seems like Shenmue has a growing cult following. I don't know if it's because the success of Yakuza or what it is, but it seems like more and more people are picking up on that game.
Well, could be primed for a reboot. Who knows?
Yeah, give us some Jet Set Radio or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that game. That game's like that's a nostalgia game.
Yeah,
Like that's definitely, even though I know that came out on Xbox, I think it screams Dreamcast to me still.
Streams Dreamcast. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So the news stories for this week, I took a couple, you took a couple, some of them might overlap, I don't know.
yeah.
The first one I wanted to talk about, because I figured this would be something you had some opinions on, is the news story that the Pokemon company is talking about slowing down their release schedules.
Right,
Did you see this in the news?
right. Yeah, yeah. I saw that news item. Yeah,
I think I mean you probably saw I already tweeted this, but I figured it's worth putting in the podcast. It's like, well, you started that release schedule with original Game Boy games. Of course, now that we're at this point in systems, if you're not making it for like a Nintendo DS type system and you want to do these next gen 3D games, you should do that. You should stretch out the release schedule or have I forget. I think it's Call of Duty might have this style where they have 3 development teams, and that's how they're able to put out a game a year, is like each game is worked on for 3 years, but like they're cycling through the 3 different teams. So maybe they could get something like that going.
I, I don't know. I don't think it's like for me. I don't think it's a matter of time. I just, I think it's a matter of how they're running things, why they're running things. You know, how many people they have on their staff. I mean, it's just like it. This is a Game Freak problem to me, and I don't
Yeah.
know if giving Game Freak more time fixes things. I'm sorry if that's just being too negative, but like the only good Pokemon games, the only good looking ones are the ones that are not made by Game Freak. And perhaps they just need to move on, you know. And I've never understood that relationship with Nintendo and how they're so protective of some IPs, but since this one has a TV show and merchandising that
Movies.
that like because we know why the schedule exists. Like the video game has to come out before everything else does. Everything it revolves around the video game and and the
Yeah, I've
generation
heard,
releasing.
and I'm sure you know this already, but maybe our listeners don't know. I have heard a huge motivating factor for the fact that they keep pumping out games is the card game, and the people who collect the Pokemon cards need new cards, and they can't like start putting them out until they put a new game out. So that's a big factor to it.
Yeah. So no, I don't like. I just think like if you were to keep everything the same and just add time, it doesn't fix anything. It just makes things a little bit better. It's like when you're working on a project and like no, it's never perfect, and you could spend a little bit more time on it to make it just a little bit better, but eventually you just have to put it out into the world. I don't know what project I'm talking about now, but you get what I'm saying. Um, I I just think there's just I don't know how they address the time issue. Looking ahead to the future, and then and that Pokemon presents, it's clear they're trying to push a lot of things forward right now. I mean, they're talking about the anime.
Yeah,
They
a lot of
had
things.
they had two web series, two web miniseries. They showed at the Pokemon Presents. One I'm really excited about. Um, they're just not. I don't think they have the ability to slow down.
Well, speaking from the perspective of someone who just recently got back into Pokemon, like I jumped back in with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the amount of stuff they put out is a little intimidating to people. So I don't know if spreading the releases out is a solution, like you said, but certainly I think maybe having a bit more of a focus and toning things down, I think would go a long way.
Yeah. And also, guys, it's numbers as well. like I don't see like a Pokemon game would have to sell extremely badly for them to slow down. as well. Like they should slow down as far as the quality goes, and that's
Yeah, and
something.
then and then the one that everyone criticized the most was the best-selling Pokemon game. So
Yeah,
it's hard.
yeah, it's difficult, and again, like it's impossible for me to know why Nintendo will spend years I mean they'll take entire games and just throw them away. I mean, we're looking at Metroid right now, like uh
Yep, that's actually my next news story if you want to segue in.
so yeah, I mean that's all. I mean there's certain IPs that they are so protective of that they will not release games due to that fact. But Pokemon is just like this one should be the most protective and has more money than anything besides Mario. But we're just gonna keep doing it. So
Yeah.
what's Metroid?
So this is kind of news, kind of rumor. It's news because this guy did say this, but he's kind of talking about a rumor. But um, so Nick Baker recently spoke about Metroid Prime 4 on the Xbox podcast after reportedly learning new information from his sources. Baker says that the game is set to feature massive open areas to explore, which he likened to the Xbox game Halo Infinite, though the game itself won't be open world adventure. Which makes sense because you can't really do a Metroid open world. Roadblocks are what makes a Metroid game a Metroid game. Like you're supposed to hit a roadblock and be like, "Oh, I'm supposed to come back here later when I have a new ability." And I feel like there's a section of fandom that wants every modern game to be open world, but some it's just baked into the DNA. You don't need it to be open world. So it's just interesting that to me, what this said, the fact that he's talking about it, is this kind of just, and this shouldn't be a newsworthy thing, but it is at this point, is it's just nice to hear that the game really is being worked on and that they're not just trying to wait till we forget about it.
Yeah, being worked on, and my take would just be, couldn't it be both? Like does open world mean that like you can go anywhere anytime? It's
I
basically.
think that's what some people think it means, and it doesn't necessarily, you're right, have to be that, because like look at a game like Arkham City. You can, after the tutorial area of that game, and that's coming to Switch soon. But after the tutorial area of that game, you can go anywhere in the city, but there's still certain things you can't do until certain parts of the game.
th-
Red Dead Redemption also coming out soon. You have like roadblocks set up that don't let you into certain parts of the map until the story gets to a certain point.
I think this is most open world games. Like like even even Breath of the Wild, which is the example I'll use every time. Like even there, like yes, you can go to Ganon immediately, but like once it opens up to you, yes, you can go there immediately, but there are like plenty of places in the map that you're gonna burn alive if you try to go there immediately. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna survive because you just don't have that equipment. But you could beat the game, yes, but you can't really just go anywhere. So I don't know, like to me, like open world doesn't mean that like it's just everything is open right away.
And it's good to bring up Breath of the Wild because I think that along with a few other games are what kind of redefined what open world was. That's certainly more open world than something like I said Red Dead Redemption or a Grand Theft Auto game where they will flat out like put up literal roadblocks in the road
Mm-hmm.
and tell you can't cross this border until you've completed a certain story part of the game.
Yeah. And then there's even games that are open, like Breath of the Wild, where it's like, okay, you can go there, but you're not going to survive because
Yeah.
because this is because of the climate or the enemies or whatever it's going to be. Or we had an open world Pokemon, which for whatever reason they decided not to level scale, so it's a very linear open world Pokemon game. Like I don't know. I didn't get much. Like it is nice to know that they're just working on the game, as you said.
Yeah, and to me, this doesn't sound all that different from Pokemon from Metroid Prime, which is a lot of like big areas that are all interconnected, and you have to do backtracking to get into certain nooks and crannies of those areas.
Switch two. I think I'm betting on that now, or whatever the next Switch is going to be. I
Yeah, that's now that you mention it, that was something when I was reading that article. I was like, is he going to say anything about which system they're developing it for? But he did not.
Yeah, I think at this point, but nothing too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, should we do a quick weekly update on new Switch news? I don't know. Like,
I That's actually my favorite thing to speculate about. So anytime I see something worth mentioning, I bring it up here. That's that's one of my favorite things about listening to old podcasts is when you like watch them go through the news cycle. There's a Star Wars podcast I love. Shout out to Star Wars Minute. They every episode they break down 1 minute of Star Wars in order. And believe it or not, they're almost caught up because they're a daily podcast. They record them in chunks. They release one each day, 5 days a week. Anyway, shout out to Star Wars Minute. But my point is that podcast started just as the Disney acquisition went through. So like if you listen to that podcast again, you like hear as Star Wars started to change and become what we know it as today throughout their show.
yeah, that would be interesting. Or it would be interesting if we had if we had podcasts, you know, back in the day.
Yeah, and
Because
follow like yeah, I remember like I've said on this show, I used to get Game Pro magazine and Nintendo Power magazine, and I still go through those old issues sometimes just to be like, let me look at the coming soon section and see what they what they thought certain games were going to be like. Like two games I would have always been obsessed with the development of is Ocarina of Time and Conker's what eventually became Conker's Bad Fur Day, but started off as 12 Tales Conker Goes West or something like that. And I just love reading those development processes.
yeah, very cool. I didn't have those. I had Game Informer for years, and
That one was good.
I think Game Informer uh, was a big inspiration for just things like this, honestly, because I growing up, I always thought video game journalism was just extremely cool, and when we were growing up, there was only like a handful of video game journalist jobs. Um, and not nowadays you can you can create your own content, but back then it's like if you want to write about video games or something, you know, you had to be had some kind of association, you know. So
Yeah, or nobody was going to read what you wrote.
uh, so yeah, it would be interesting if we had more of that digital media back then to see what kind of rumors and speculations. And I had something else, but move
And
on.
then a rumor that I came across this week is Animal Crossing might be getting some Lego sets next year.
That's very
I don't know if you saw that. I'm starting to sound like Jay Leno. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Um, as Nintendo continues branching out into the world of Lego, there are rumors surrounding franchises that'll end up being Lego-fied. And for a while, there were rumors of a Deku Tree Zelda set, but that never really materialized. But recently, Animal Crossing is starting to get the Lego rumor treatment. Rumors of several Animal Crossing sets began to appear on the Lego Leak Reddit yesterday. Well, yesterday as of whenever this was written. Um, 5 different Animal Crossing themed sets are in the works and will be coming our way March of 2024. So maybe, according to the rumor, the 5 sets will range from $15 to $75 and will feature original molded heads for each of the Animal Crossing minifigures.
Very cool. I'm not a Lego expert. Well, just a Lego fan. Is that what we say at this podcast? I don't.
Yeah.
That wasn't intentional. Um, so I this would be the first time they've done a Animal Crossing Lego collab, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that like I just read here, you would think Nintendo would start with Zelda, but I could totally have they done a Mario Legos? Yeah, they've done the Bowser and stuff like that. Okay, so they've done Mario already, but no Zelda Deku Tree. I could totally see them doing like Nook's Cranny or like the Town Hall though as a set.
Totally. Animal Crossing is an all ages game. It's an all ages game. And listen, guys, when New Horizons came out, I received slack for playing a child's game. Listen, Animal Crossing is my IP. That game came out when I was 11 years old. So the people that were telling me like, "Oh, why are you playing a child's game?" That was my game. Just a quick, quick soapbox.
Oh, I have no qualms about people knowing I play children's games. I've said here before, I kind of like my games to be easy and I like just press A the video game. Uh, we'll talk about later with the Spotlight game. I if a game's ridiculously easy, it's not necessarily a downfall, a negative for me. And I play I loved Kirby's Epic Yarn is probably one of the most kindergarten preschool friendly games and I loved it.
It just made me mad when it came out because like I have such a passion for this franchise, and gatekeeping in video games is wrong. And when especially when people younger than you try to gatekeep a game, a game that they weren't even around when the first one came out, so
Yeah.
so don't like no matter who you are, like if you're older you shouldn't be doing that either. Like I've talked about older Zelda fans trying to do that, but uh anyways, yeah.
Well, I know, yeah, I know. I mean, you're talking to a guy who also has a Ninja Turtle podcast, and trust me, when I went to see Mutant Mayhem in the theater, I could tell you know, it was there for the kids, but I was not ashamed to be a childless group going to see that movie. And same I'll do the same thing for any Mario Brothers movie that comes out. You should, if it makes you happy and you're not hurting anybody, just let people enjoy things. That's a thing on the internet. Just let people enjoy things.
just do you. I mean
Yeah.
it's gaming, just like just do you, and and yeah, have you guys reviewed the movie on your other podcasts?
Yes. Yeah, we both gave our thoughts, and we're probably going to do a more in-depth analysis when it comes out on streaming, but we both gave like our initial thoughts after we watched it.
Well,
It's good. It was a very good movie. I recommend it.
very cool. Well, listeners, if you're not subscribed, go subscribe to the other
The
podcast.
Ninja Turtle
There we
Nerds.
go.
Maybe someday we'll have a website where they're all linked together.
Yeah,
We need you to spread the word about these podcasts for that to
yeah,
happen.
we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about some other kind of how do we get the word out to these younger people, especially.
And did you want to talk about any of these games being released? I closed the message here, but I know there's we already mentioned the Arkham trilogy. It's coming to Nintendo Switch in
Oh,
October,
sure.
which is really
Yeah,
exciting.
let's say with that. It comes out. Uh, so we knew it was coming, but we got a release date October 13th. Um, this is the same. Wait, no. Oh yeah. This port is from Turn Me Up, which I was excited to see because they did the port, not the port, actually the remake of of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Also did the port of It Takes Two. I don't know, but they did that one as well. I'm pretty excited about this trilogy. I believe it's $60, which that would be consistent with the other sales. Like on Steam, I think you can buy each of the games separately for $20. So definitely a trilogy I'm excited to see on Switch. For me,
For sure.
along with a number of other Switch titles, I'm hoping is going to be a Black Friday sale, because I don't see myself paying full price because of the amount of games I have. But I would like to play Arkham Knight portable on Switch and see how that goes. So I'm pretty excited that we get this level of game, this kind of port on Switch, and we're getting 3 games for the price of basically Rockstar Games releasing 1 game.
Well, you know how I feel about trophies, not a fan. And to speak to how much I like these games, I platinumed the first two, Arkham City and Arkham Asylum. So that's how much I have played these games, and I will definitely be getting them on my Switch eventually. They're great additions. I can't wait to see how they run on the Switch.
Yeah, I'm most interested in seeing how Arkham Knight runs on the Switch, because that's the only PS4 game on this list, right? Uh, so
Yeah,
so I so I mean, I would assume that Arkham Asylum, is a 2009 game. I would assume that game would be fine. But how is Ark?
I wonder if that's based off of they did like a remake of those two games for I think PlayStation 4
Mhm.
and they touched them up a little. I wonder if it's going to be based off of that. Cuz some of the menu things were different and like some of the meters and how they displayed like health, I think, and wasn't there like a stealth meter or something? I can't remember. But I know they touched those games up, so it's probably based off of those.
Right. Right. I think so. I haven't. I don't know if they've had any screenshots or anything. I saw the the artwork they released yesterday, which looks absolutely amazing. And yeah, this feels like a trilogy that $60 feels right, and it'll go on sale for $40, and I'll pick it up. And uh, I'm and I just want to say that this Suicide game, the Suicide Squad game they're releasing, which they've already pushed back at least once, looks absolutely horrible.
It does, yeah.
Um,
Well, the last thing I'll say about the Arkham games, though, is the same thing that I said about the Metal Gear Solid 3 games coming. To me, this keeps lending further credence to the rumors that the next Nintendo system is going to be backwards compatible with the online library, because it seems like they're stacking their roster and they're really building for a system that's in its 6th year. They're really making you want to appreciate what they have in their online library. And I don't think they're going to want to like build a wall and start over the next system at this point.
yeah, I completely agree with that. And I was trying to think yesterday, thinking about, like, I'm not sure where I thought Nintendo or the Switch would be at this point, but it definitely was not this. I did not imagine like that we would have all the Pikmin games, Metal Gear Solid games, these Batman
That's
games. Like,
another thing where it looks like they're stacking the roster, you know, they're saying they're going to be able to say with the next system, "Hey, you have all those games that we've been getting you hyped about for the last year or two plus the new ones."
and it'll be great for the future as well. I mean, the more and more of these games that are added that people will play for years and years still, it just adds more reason to have a Switch. I just didn't see that, like, this was going to be the year of we're just going to port everything onto the system. So now you can play, like any Pikmin game that you want on the Switch. I didn't see them going this far with it. Um,
And then also, I saw you say here that I'm not very familiar with this franchise, but Vampire Survivors is coming on Switch.
right. So that is out. We're recording on well, it's Thursday morning, Wednesday night for you. So the game has released at least where I am at this point. But
Okay,
Vampire Survivors came out. It's by the time
that's like a shoot 'em up type
it's a
game, right?
roguelite. It's a rogue like or rogue light. I'm gonna say rogue light.
I've always seen it as like
I'm gonna
Like
I'm
spelled
gonna
out, but I could be
I'm gonna
wrong.
say it's a rogue like because it has roguelite elements to it. Uh, so, anyways, by the time this episode is released, the game will be out. It is $5. I believe it was 10% off for the pre-sale, and there's two DLC. I think they're each $1.50. So now, again, if you're not sure, um, first of all, I would say just buy it. It's $5. It will go on sale a lot. If you're not sure and you have iOS, you can play it for free. You can try it out for free on iOS, um, because they just charge for the DLC. And I would say, like, I've never bought the DLC for this game because there's a good 100 hours in this game without it. So do what you will. I mean, again, it's only another couple of dollars if you want to buy all of it at once. They're also releasing couch co-op today, which I'm super, super excited about. So it's kind of a big release for Switch. I think them releasing co-op the same day they released it on system. I would say definitely try it out. It's one of the most addictive games I've played in a long time. It's very balanced, it's very fun, it's very engaging. There's lots of lights and things that shoot out, and there's lots of like ooh moments, like, oh, I got this upgrade, and like, oh, like this one fused together with this one, and now I have this upgrade. So um uh, I'm rambling a bit, but also shout out to their Twitter or X team, because every time I tweet out about Vampire Survivors, they always respond within like a few minutes. Like every time I talk about them, they always respond with some like garlic emojis, which is goes along with the game's lore. So that game comes out today. Also, by the time this podcast is out, the Red Dead Redemption uh, conversion comes out on the 17th as well. So that game will be out at that point. And I think it's funny that
And if anyone was wondering, according to Wikipedia, it's rogue like Like.
ro-
It's got a whole page on
yeah,
it.
and if you ask me, it's the same thing. Try uh, yeah, to close that, I would just say try it out, and if you're not sure, play it on iPhone. Wait until it's $3, but I would say just buy it. It's an awesome addition to Switch. I'm very interested to see how it runs, because even on Steam Deck, there would get to be times where there was so much on the screen that it would kind of be a little bit wacky. I'll say that's okay though. Uh, Red Dead Redemption is a conversion, is what they're calling it. And the Take Two CEO in an interview said that he believes that the $50 price tag is a great value because you're also getting the DLC included with the game as well. Now, Red Dead Redemption, the original one, it's not nearly as long as 2. So, as far as value, it depends on what you value in a game, I think, because it's not as long, but the quality is, I'm sure, is there. But it is a 13-year-old game. So, Kevin, what do you think? Is Red Dead Redemption $50 a great value game?
I think the Switch version is worth that because of the gimmick of it now being portable. But on Steam, I would wait for a sale unless you have the Steam Deck. But like, if yeah, I think for it being portable now, that kind of does make it worth the price of a normal game. It's got enough content. Let me put it this way, especially if you've never played it before and it's a whole new game to you, then you're going to get your money's worth hours wise out of it. So, yeah.
And this game isn't on Steam, I don't think. Like
Oh, okay.
I think, because I think this is going to be the only convenient way to play it portably. Or I'll say like the only, maybe not a legal, maybe not legal way, but it's going to be the only convenient way to play it on a portable system. So again, for me, like I almost never buy games full price, but I could see myself buying this game buying this game once it's 30% off. I am waiting though, because of the GTA trilogy being such a disaster when it first came out. So I would
Yeah.
wait no matter what. Uh,
So that brings us to this week's Spotlight game. Did you have any time to play it? I know you were traveling all over the place.
yeah, I played it. I played it a little bit yesterday, and I've played this game as well. So yeah, I feel ready. um,
Okay,
yeah,
Yoshi Story came out for the Nintendo 64 December 21st, 97, which is very close to Christmas. That's crazy that they were putting a game out that soon. But don't have a lot of time for Christmas sales. In Japan, December 21st, 1997, and then March 9th, 1998 in North America. But it does say that they intended to release it in North America at the same time as Japan, but there were delays. They're very vague about it. It says there were delays for like quality assurance reasons, and they wanted to make sure there would be enough supply because they had recently not had enough supply for GoldenEye.
huh? Did not know that.
Yeah, so they delayed it till March, and this was not as big a seller as GoldenEye. I'll just put it that way. Actually, I have it somewhere in this article. It's
I
like
have it too.
for that year, it wasn't even in like the top 20 selling
Yeah,
games.
but I will say, like, this game sold almost 3 million copies, which to me, for a game like this, is incredible. Like, it's still it's not GoldenEye numbers, it's not Zelda numbers, but as a franchise, I'm very uh impressed and surprised by the kinds of numbers that Yoshi does. So much to a sense that I'm surprised that we don't get just Yoshi games every year. Um,
Man, they did a lot of I've never seen a marketing section this big for a game on Wikipedia. It's got like a huge section. It says in an effort to promote the game in the US, Nintendo direct mailed advertisements to recent console buyers, put advertisements in gaming and children's magazines, aired 30-second television ads on NBC, Fox Kids, Kids WB, Nickelodeon, and Cartoon Network during children's programming. Nintendo pre-launched the game in Lizard Lick, North Carolina, a town of 1,300 residents.
it's
So,
so interesting.
what did they sell? 6 copies? Um, the event featured tongue-themed contests for children and video terminals that let people try out the game. It was originally, yeah, this is where it talked about the delay. It was released, where does it say how much it sold that year? It was the 16th best-selling video game in the US for 1998, which is the year Ocarina of
It's a
Time came out,
huge
by the
gaming
way.
year.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a huge
exactly.
gaming year, and this is.
I think Metal Gear Solid came out that year as
Right.
well.
I think so. And as far as Yoshi games go, I think this is the fourth, yes, the fourth best selling Yoshi game of the franchise.
Oh, okay. Real quick. So the games that, beat it in sales and this crazy year, you have Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid, Half Life, Banjo Kazooie, Parasite Eve, Xenogears, Tomb Raider 3, Resident Evil 2, Oddworld Abe's Exodus, Spyro the Dragon, Mario Party, Sonic Adventure. Man, this list just keeps going. Marvel vs. Capcom, one of them. Turok 2 Seeds of Evil. Geez, South Park, which wasn't that good, but it was popular. 1080 Snowboarding. Wow, this is a big year.
Yeah, yeah,
Crash Bandicoot
yeah,
Warped.
yeah. It's a
Sorry.
huge year,
Okay.
right? It's a huge year,
Yeah.
and and it seems like Nintendo was almost like was was very uncertain about releasing this game in the US after the Japan release. Of course, they were going to release it, but it almost seemed like they didn't want to. Because the
Yeah.
Japan release came out, it had bad reviews. People were talking about the difficulty, and
Yeah, well, to me, this game's an experiment, and you're right. They knew after putting it out in Japan, they were like, okay, the experiment did not pay off, so we don't need to rush this to shelves just yet.
so did you play this game when it came out?
Absolutely, this is a game I have a fair amount of nostalgia for, and it was like a hidden pocket of nostalgia for me. I haven't revisited it much since 1998, but when the game first came out, I was heavily into it, and I see that it has its flaws, but I should just put that up front here that it will influence my opinion. That it gives me a dose of nostalgia, and it gives it any game that gives you nostalgia is going to have an unfair advantage.
Absolutely. I'm just surprised by the level of criticism that the Yoshi franchise gets uh, concerning the difficulty of the games, because I think I've always been pretty good at being like, it's just not for you. It's just not for you. It's like it's just one of those games. Now I played Yoshi Story. I haven't played all the Yoshi games, but I played the most recent one, Crafted World. And I remember a lot of people criticizing Crafted World for being too easy. And I was like, it's Yoshi. Like it's been like this from the very beginning. So when this game came out, do you remember a lot of people criticizing it?
I remember, again, I had a Nintendo Power subscription. I'm just going to hammer that home for people. And I actually remember this game was like in the beginning of Nintendo Power, just like most magazines, they had like letters that people would write in, and the people would talk back to them, the various Nintendo Power staff. And there was a lot of debate for like several months about this game, people saying, it's too easy, like, or that it wasn't, people just hating on it, or people loving it, people defending it. And I remember that was like a huge conversation in those letters, because the philosophy was people saying, people who didn't like that you can basically finish this game in an hour, but people who were defending it were like, well, it has different difficulty settings. Yes, you can make it to the credit screen in an hour, but you won't have all the levels unlocked. You won't be there's a screen where you basically have a high score for each level, and you won't get all the enjoyment out of that unless you play each level and unlock them all for that. Which I think that's something that's important to talk about for anyone who hasn't played the game. It has a really weird structure to it. So it's set up like a pop-up book. There's 34 levels in the game, but you only need to finish 6 of them to beat the game. Unlike most Mario Yoshi games where you have a world map and you finish all the levels in the world and then you move on to the next world. Instead, in this, you play one level per world. So imagine if in like Super Mario World, you started off on that first area and you beat the first level. And then you move all the way to the next area where you're getting the green question mark
Mhm.
block now, and then after you finish one level there, you're now in the cave, and you finish one level there and now you're in the forest. it's it's a real it's to encourage replay value, but it's a really weird way to structure a game.
It's very there's 24 levels, right? In this game, right? There's
Well, no, because there's a hidden unlockable level, so there's 4 levels per world and six
right
worlds. So is my math wrong?
24.
What does that work out to? 24. Sorry. So yeah, 24 instead of 34.
Right. And like have you ever seen or did this level design remind you of any other game?
Well, yeah, it started off being announced as Yoshi's Island
Sure.
64. So it's very influenced by Yoshi's Island, and except for the level structure where you're only doing one level per world, it very much is a spiritual successor to Yoshi's
That's
Island.
what I meant. Have you ever seen a level structure like this game?
Oh, the level structure?
Yeah,
No, not that
you
I
know,
can think of.
I couldn't think of one either. Like I was trying to think of like okay, so like games where you can warp or like you don't have to.
Well, there's not even like a finish point. That's also weird.
Right,
So you finish the level when you've eaten 30
right,
fruits. So if you make it to the end, it basically loops you back to the beginning and you just keep finding fruit to eat. That's a weird structure in itself. The game every level is essentially
right.
infinite.
And something that struck me, especially when we were doing Yoshi's Island, is that even though this game is clearly for babies or for kids or whatever, I find the Yoshi lore to be quite dark. I find I because again, like it's different to be like, okay, like you're a plumber and don't get hit because then you'll pass out and then you'll start over, right? But in Yoshi's story, it's like you have a baby, and if you don't get to the end, we kidnap the baby and it's permadeath. Like I just think it's a little bit more dark to be like we take the baby away if you don't do well.
I think the story to this game is that they took their happiness away too, which
Yeah.
is kind of sounds like a Care Bear movie, but also kind of, it's a dark thing to think
Like
about. And that's why they're eating fruits, is to get happy again. You could just replace the fruits with
yeah.
antidepressants.
Yeah, so that's like the first thing that struck me like loading up this game like first time in a really long time is that yeah, I think it's a little bit I just think it's a little bit dark for a game that is so vibrant. And I do want to add that like I think this is one of the best looking N64 games because I think I've been pretty
I had that
I
same
think I
note. Yeah. That patchwork
yeah,
denim look.
because I've been pretty I think we've all been pretty critical of the aging of N64 games and I think this one has held up. I've always liked that animation style and
It fits right in with the modern Yoshi's Woolly
oh,
World. It
absolutely.
looks really,
Yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
absolutely. I mean, and the graphics and how good Crafted World looked was the reason why I played the game. And again, like Crafted World was again like not a game that was for me or that I remember too much or enjoy, but I had a certain attraction to. It needs to be noted that that the music from this game, although repetitive, was from Kazumi Totaka, which is um, so important in the Nintendo world. Did music for Link's Awakening, did music for every Animal Crossing game, the original Luigi's Mansion, and games like Wave Race, Super Smash Brothers Brawl. Um, I think he's awesome, and actually, I I feel like there's similarities between the music in this game and Animal Crossing. I just wish that it was a little bit less repetitive.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Um, because yeah, uh, Kazumi, like he does a very good he does such a good job with taking small ideas and expanding on them a lot.
Well, that was another thing I remember being debated in the Nintendo Power pages was what the Yoshis are saying when they're singing. And the takeaway I got was a lot of people felt when you finish the level, what they're saying is the end of over and over. The end of. So I don't know if it's necessarily supposed to be anything specific, but that's what I hear.
Don't they have their own language?
Well, they say Yoshi and they say Nintendo.
Well,
Other than that,
that could be the
yeah,
same. Like
yeah. Other than that, though, we don't know, or I don't know.
yeah, yeah, that could be the same. You know, I I watched Nintendo Life video on this, and it had Alex on there from Nintendo Life, and Alex
Hmm.
is very eccentric, and he's from the UK, and he says Yashi like that.
Yeah, I've noticed. Yeah, I've noticed people with that accent. I love the way they
Yeah,
say Yoshi.
so that really messed me up. So I messaged my one of my friends from the UK who's a big Nintendo fan, and he's like, I don't know, that's weird. So I don't. So I.
No, I've heard it. I've heard
So
it.
yeah, I
Um,
don't know.
while we're referencing other media that featured this game, there used to be a web series, and you can find these videos on YouTube now on game trailers where it was called Pop Fiction. Do you remember
No.
Pop Fiction? So basically, I really wish this series was still around. It's such a good idea for a web series. Anyone out there is looking to start a new web series and you don't have an idea, steal this. It was basically Mythbusters for video games. And they would test different video game myths and rule if they were true or not. And so they did an episode on Yoshi Story because last week I set this up where I was a little bit wrong. It's not the black and white Yoshi that were rumored to be in the game. Those are actually in the game. It was a purple and brown Yoshi that were rumored to be in the game. And of course, like most things, it's just that when this game was in development and you were watching early screenshots, they were there. And then the game comes out and they're not there. The purple Yoshi just basically became the pink Yoshi. And I think the brown Yoshi just got cut. But it's it's an interesting video. They try all the methods, which most of them are like anything else, like reviving Ares in Final Fantasy VII. It's always like something crazy, like collect every single coin in the game, collect all the hearts, do all these crazy things, and you'll unlock them. And the Pop Fiction verdict, not true. And I think most of the videos they also like end up going to the Cutting Room Floor website where they talk about like hacking the game to see if the stuff is even in there. And yeah, you can see that the brown Yoshi is in the game files, but he's not unlockable in any way.
Huh. Yeah, that's very interesting, and that sounds like uh, a a schoolyard rumor. Yeah.
Well, the purple Yoshi's in all the cutscenes. That's why it seems like that should be in the game. When you watch he's on the title screen, the purple Yoshi, but there's no purple Yoshi in
Right.
the game. So that one's kind of weird.
Right, but it was planned and then just taken out. Yeah,
Yeah, like I said, I think the purple Yoshi became
pink
the
or pink.
black Yoshi, and maybe the brown one became the white one. I don't know.
Right, right. That's interesting, and a lot of those myths exist for this period of gaming. Uh, that's
I also want to give this game huge points for being a side-scrolling game on the Nintendo 64. I feel like we could have used more of those 2.5D, like Mischief Makers was another one. It's a perfect example of what that system was capable of, but they were so focused at the time at like the industry is headed towards 3D environments, 3D platforming, 3D character models that they they shied away from this so much. And I feel like the Nintendo 64 library could have had like 20 more solid side-scrolling titles if they just were willing to do them.
Right. This is the beginning 3D era. So, yeah, I mean, not something that I thought of until now, but yes, I would say that the Yoshi franchise should deserve credit for having that type of focus. Like like even though they might have taken out some colors of Yoshi last minute, it seems like they have understood what their audience is and who their audience is. And again, like this franchise overall has sold about 30 million units between all of their games. And this one sold close to 3 million. So I'm very impressed by for what this game is for for those numbers. And yeah, I'm surprised that we haven't gotten a new Yoshi game on the Switch. Like uh, Yoshi's Crafted World also sold really well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Oh, Yoshi Story also brings back the Stilt guys. Oh yeah, one of my favorites. It's also in Yoshi's Island. I don't know where else they're referenced. I know like they're in Mario Kart, like some Mario Kart games, but the Shy Guys on Stilts, one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I probably said this during the Yoshi's Island. I'm getting them confused during the Yoshi's Island review, but I love the way they chant and talk and burp, 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 burp. Like I love the noises they make.
Yeah, just overall nostalgic game, right? Uh,
Yeah, the music very much took me back, and honestly, since I've recently finished Pikmin 4 and I'm kind of just waiting for the next game at this point, which is probably Mario Wonder, I think I'm going to 100% this on my Switch Online service in the meantime because I liked playing it so much this week and there's not a lot to do. So, yeah, I think I'm going to unlock those black and white Yoshis and try to get all the levels unlocked on that leaderboard. It's not a big ask. I could probably do it in like a week or two.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so Ke-
Sean
oh,
did rank it. Yeah, he's not here tonight. He doesn't seem as hot on the game as we are. He put it at number 28 on his list. Below Earthworm Jim. Not a big Yoshi fan, but keep in mind he also ranked the NES Yoshi game dead last. So maybe Sean just does not
right,
like
and then I want
Yoshi.
to see where did Sean rank Yoshi's Island?
Oh, he's got
Uh,
that pretty high. He's
Number
got that
three.
number
Yeah,
3.
yeah, so okay, 3 and then all the way down to 28. So um I don't
I ranked it number 8, which for me is just below Mario Party 2. It's in that Nintendo 64 sweet zone. The games above it are the two versions of Super Mario Brothers 3, so that takes up 2 spots right there. It's basically all Mario and Zelda above it and Yoshi's Island. So, not bad company to be in.
I want to be different. So I ranked Mappy Land number 8 last time I was on here, and I feel like I need to rank Yoshi's Story above that. So
If you'd rather play it, that's what
yeah,
I usually judge my rankings on. I'm like, what would I rather
I
play right now?
I quite enjoyed Mappy Land, and I'm still a little bit partial to Mario or Open Golf. So I think I'm going to go number 8 as well. I'm going to steal yours. I'm going to go Yoshi's Story number 8 between NES Open Golf and and Mappy Land. And Yoshi's Island for me is number 5 on my list, while the Nintendo Yoshi.
Yeah, we all agree definitely a step down from Yoshi's Island, but I feel like there's still plenty there to enjoy.
Yes, yes, and that pushes the Nintendo Yoshi down to 21.
All right, so let's find out what we are playing next time. Another Nintendo 64 game. Just knocking those out now, which is nice because we didn't see them forever. But now we are playing Nintendo 64 F
Ooh,
Zero
okay.
X. This is a game I have no experience with. Played the heck out of the first game on Super Nintendo, but for whatever reason, maybe I'll find out when I do my research this week. I never played the Nintendo 64 one. So maybe I'll see that it came out at the same time as some other game I was playing, which tends to be the case for why I don't play things. We'll see.
Yeah.
Do you have
I,
any experience with it?
I've played this one. I haven't played it in so long. I don't know if it was on any other virtual console that I had.
Oh, this is another game from 1998. So yeah, chances are I was playing one of those 15 games we
Yeah,
listed earlier.
yeah. Chances are, I have played this. It's gonna also have nostalgia for me as well, and I'm already thinking about where it's going to go. So yeah, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be this is gonna be a lot different than any game we've. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot different than any game we've played so far.
We're just going to basically be like, why won't they make a new F-Zero game after we
Yep,
play this for a week?
yep, exactly.
Okay, as always, if you know why they won't make a new F-Zero game and you're listening on Spotify, you can comment below and tell us. Give us the reason. If you want to say anything else to us, you can do that as well. Doesn't matter. But always just keep in mind we're Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. So we probably got some stuff wrong. If you'd like to tell us that and you're not using Spotify and you can't comment down below, we have an email address, nintendotherapypod@gmail.com. I checked it before we started recording. There was nothing in there, but I'm getting better at that. So if you do put something in that email, I'll see it. And we're also on Twitter at Nintendo Therapy. So you can get at us on those. Well, it's X now. I got to stop saying Twitter, which they still haven't updated half of the apps that interact with Twitter. Like when I post from my Switch, it says post to
Right.
Twitter. When I look at on my phone, I have everything organized into different folders. And in the folder view, it still has the Twitter logo. It doesn't change to X until you open the folder. So they got to update all these
I'm
things.
still not used to like when I open another application and in the top left it'll have like the X and then the arrow and yeah it it doesn't look good to me is all I'm going to say. It looks like there's something else on my phone. Is the way I
Yeah.
feel. And I'm still not like what do we call tweets? Um, are there still
Yeah.
Twitter Spaces? Because I don't think we can call them X Spaces. I don't think we can do that. I think again that sounds like something else.
For sure. So, yeah, get at us if you want to tell us something and tune in next week to hear F-Zero X and all of the other Nintendo news that we don't know yet because it hasn't happened yet.